All right, we are live. It is Sunday morning. It's 11 a.m. on May 3rd, 2020. Welcome to a very special live stream edition of the House of EdTech podcast. We are going to get started with the actual episode recording in just a couple of minutes. But if you're joining us here, what I want to let you know is this episode is going to be all about how to live stream any event at your school. And really, this can be applied to anything where you are wanting to live stream something. So you're watching this in one of two places right now. You are watching this either A, on YouTube at chrisnessy.com/live, or you are watching this via Periscope, where I've also sent this. Once I get in, you're welcome on whatever platform you are watching this on. Please feel free to leave a comment. Also, please feel free to share this out while I'm doing this. Since I'm doing this live as I am recording the episode, if you're making comments or anything like that I can pull into what I'm saying and talking about, and any questions you might have, I will certainly address that. Part of what I'll be doing here on YouTube is I'll be sharing my screen at different points and making this a visual experience as well. And obviously everything I'm saying right now, this is not going to be a part of the podcast version of, this episode. So that's kind of what that's what we'll be doing. If you're not subscribed to the House of EdTech podcast, what you can do, not right now because you're watching this, but on your device that you're listening to this on, if you listen to podcasts on this device, go to chrisnessy.com/go on your device, and it's going to bring you to the place where you can subscribe to the House of EdTech podcast. And I would love it if you became a subscriber if you aren't one already. And if you're watching this on YouTube, I do live stream from time to time. So if you want to hit that subscribe button, smash that bell, all those fun YouTube things, that would be awesome as well. And if you don't like what I'm doing, well, feel free to hit the thumbs down. That's cool. Any feedback is feedback, and I do appreciate that. So any comments you have, put them in the chat. I'll be able to see both Periscope and YouTube comments, and I'll be able to pull them up on screen if it's something I can pull into what I'm doing. But, I've got this episode kind of planned out. And I'm actually going to be talking about the actual environment that I'm creating this in, because I think that this is a super great platform. It's called StreamYard, and this is not paid promotion. It's not me advertising. I love this platform. It's something that I'm actually paying for now, but I'll get into, the pricing structure or how you can use it for free. So that's what we'll be doing today. All right. So again, if you're just joining, then again, feel free to put comments in the chat wherever you're watching, and I'll be able to address them as I'm doing the episode. But we're going to get right into the recording of the episode. If you want to just say hello where you're watching from right now, that would be cool. Let me know who is here, and I will just make sure everything is where I want it to be visually and on screen. And the other fun game that you can play is, if I'm watching him do this live and I listen to the episode later, what makes it into the episode that he releases as the podcast? So that's always a fun game to play if you like to play games. All right. Get all my sniffles and coughs out because those are annoying to edit out after the fact. All right. Show notes here. Screen sharing over there. Hello to the people watching. All right. I guess we can get started. Sound effects should be good to go. All right. And then we will get right into how to live stream any school event. All right. Let's make sure I hit the record button.
Hi, I'm Kim Laprie from the Teachers Need Teachers podcast, a part of the Education Podcast Network, just like the show you're listening to now. Shows on the network are individually owned, and opinions expressed may not reflect others. Find other interesting podcasts at edupodcastnetwork.com.
Coming up on episode 156 of the House of EdTech podcast, I'm going to be talking about the final project for my students this year in high school social studies. And the main event, we're going to talk about how you can live stream any school event. Strike up the band. Welcome to the House of EdTech podcast. I am your host, Chris Nessie. The House of EdTech explores how technology is changing the way teachers teach and the impact that technology is having in education. I discuss technology that is changing our classrooms and schools, and I share tools and tips that you can hear today and use tomorrow. You're going to hear the stories of teachers, leaders, and creators just like you. The purpose? Whether you use it or not, technology is changing the way you teach and how your students learn. Good afternoon, good morning, good evening. Welcome to another episode of the House of EdTech. This is a very special episode because not only am I recording the episode here in episode 156, but I'm also live streaming the recording of this episode out to the YouTube channel and also out on Periscope, which is really appropriate because this episode is all about live streaming, and we're going to really focus on, in this episode, how you can live stream any event at your school. And based on current events here in the spring of 2020, there's going to be a lot of opportunities and different events that you're probably going to want to live stream because we can't get together in large groups. So we're talking about things like graduations, promotions, award ceremonies, Board of Education meetings, concerts. And actually, that's kind of getting ahead of us. But this is stuff that you can apply at any point. So when we are, back in school, not to date this episode, but when we're back in school and we can be doing regular things, how can we share the content that's being created in our schools and what our students are doing, whether it's in class or school-wide events? How can we share those events with the world? And as a school and a district, how can we tell our story? So that's the bulk of this episode. If you're listening to this on the podcast side, you might want to also head over to chrisnessie.com/YouTube, where you'll be able to see the live stream version of this, where I am going to be doing some screencasting and broadcasting because, again, I'm live streaming this episode. But I will certainly do my best to paint a picture with words if you only wind up listening and consuming this content through the podcast episode. Everything that I talk about, you'll be able to find over on the show notes page at chrisnessie.com/156. And I'll also embed the video for the live stream there. So this will all be in one nice, neat place. And if you do happen to go over to the YouTube channel, if you click subscribe, I'm going to try, as I've been saying for many, many episodes, try to do some more live streaming with this podcast. As you may or may not know, I do live stream of late a lot of things that I'm doing with Podcast PD, with Stacy and AJ. For the month of March and now here into April and May, we've been live streaming our episodes out at podcastpd.com/live on Sunday nights at 8:30. So if you want to be a part of that conversation, we're doing that as the podcast recording and also as like a call-in type radio show. So if you want to get involved in the recording of that show, that would be available to you as well. As I'm recording this on Sunday, May 3rd, we will be live on Sunday, May 3rd at 8:30 p.m. Eastern time. And we're going to be talking about how we can flip education upside down going forward. Now, before we get into the bulk content, I do want to share this episode's EdTech Thought. For this episode's EdTech Thought, I really just wanted to take this segment and share what I'm having my students do here at the end of the 2019-2020 school year. My school, a high school in Central Jersey, New Brunswick High School, we have been out of school since March 13th. So we've been doing remote learning for almost 6 weeks. And at some point, we are going to get to that 8-week mark, which is the equivalent of summer vacation, at least here in New Jersey. Now, I've been trying to do remote learning as best I can, but I've had a lot of challenges and a lot of difficulty making it work as I would like it to. The biggest issue has been a real lack of student engagement and student involvement. Um, I create assignments and I'm not overwhelming my students with work, but as I've started to really think about what can I ask students to do that they will actually do or, feel invested in or, be a part of, I really struggled with that. And what I finally came up with, and I can't take all the credit because I was having a conversation with my awesome wife, Caitlin Nessie, and together, and mostly her, but I was able to really put it together. I've come up with an assignment or really a project in ninth grade world history that I think would be awesome for any history class, any language arts class. And I'm asking my students now to become historians and document history. And the conversation I had with my wife, we basically came to the conclusion that there is not a lot of primary source documentation on, you know, a lot of historical events. And all year in my class, I've had students doing document based questioning, and we've been analyzing primary source documents and writing and leveraging technology to do research and create content around history. So I came to the conclusion that this would be a great time to have my students create content and document their own story based on whatever community you're living in or your students are living in. They're all having an experience right now. We're all having an experience and we're documenting things every day, whether we're posting on Instagram or Twitter or blogging or podcasting or creating YouTube content. We're creating content and we're telling our story. So I thought it would be really awesome to have my students create what would someday be primary source documents. Now, I've been teaching history for over a decade, and whenever you look at history, you really don't find a lot of documentation and a record of what it was like to be young during any real historical period. Okay. So to have my students tell their story, I think is going to be valuable, especially if we share it with the world. And I encourage them to share it with the world. So I'm going to be having my students, or at least I'm going to ask them, and hopefully they will buy in and be engaged with this, is for the remainder of the school year, I'm going to have them create either a blog, a YouTube channel, or an audio podcast to basically tell their story through this quarantine, COVID-19, coronavirus period, to share what they're doing, kind of like a diary, but to tie it into what I'm doing in history. All throughout the year, we really focused on the 7 elements of culture. So there's about 7 weeks left in my school year here in New Jersey. So I'm going to have them pick one of those 7 elements of culture, one per week, 7 weeks, 7 elements, and create that blog post or that audio podcast episode or that YouTube video around that element of culture. And they're going to get to use technology, but also tell their story. And I will certainly be collecting these, and then they'll make it available and I will have a record of it. And who knows, maybe many, many, many years from now, what my students create, or if you take this idea and run with it as well, there will be a record of what young people were experiencing at this time. And how cool would it be if they're able to hold on to what they create, whether it's this blog or audio podcast or videos, and they save it and they can share it within their own family circle, or to interview, their parents or loved ones on a podcast or a YouTube video or in a written blog post to just reflect. And I think that that is something really valuable, for social emotional learning as we go through this time period and my students experience this, but again, to also document history using technology and to also create content that people could one day look back on. So if you have any questions about that, you can reach out to me, feedback@chrisnessie.com. I'd be more than happy to share the documentation I've put together, the rubrics I've put together for blog posts and podcasts and YouTube stuff. So what I'm really going to be having them do is create content once a week through this period. And The honest to God truth is this is all I'm going to have them work on throughout the rest of the year. So I want them to immerse themselves in documenting and telling their story and capturing their story. So I would love any thoughts or feedback that you have on that. chrisnessy.com/feedback. And that's what I'm going to have my kids do. And that's my EdTech Thought. All right, it's time for the featured content in this episode. Again, everything I'm going to talk about can be found in the show notes at chrisnessy.com/156. And today we are talking about how you can live stream any event at your school. The tools that I'm going to be talking about today are StreamYard. That's where this is all happening. This is where the magic is going to happen. StreamYard, StreamYard.com. Web friendly, mobile friendly. This is going to power your live streams. And as I said at the top of the episode, I'm live streaming the recording of this episode right now using StreamYard. So I am live streaming what I'm saying right now out to the YouTube channel, chrisnessy.com/YouTube, and also out to Periscope. So if you're not connected with me on Twitter, at Mr. Nessy on Twitter, I'm also able to simultaneously live stream to both platforms at the same time. So why is this important? Well, at least right now, again, we're not able to do a lot of large group events, but there are a lot of large group events that still need to happen here in the spring of 2020. And again, I'm thinking of things like graduations, award ceremonies, okay? All these things where parents and loved ones can come together and celebrate what students are doing. And right now, you might be thinking, how is my school going to do this? What are we going to do for graduation? We've got a senior class. What are we going to do? I had a North Jersey friend of mine reach out to me, and he was asking, how could I live stream my National Honor Society induction? So I went on and I did a whole, almost what I'm going to do here, talk about how to use StreamYard to live stream your events and bring people in and get your students involved and engage your families and your community, even at this time where, we can't do these large group events. But certainly what I'm sharing, if you're listening to this well into the future, you should still be considering, how can I live stream the events at my school? Other things besides StreamYard is your school or your district, you're going to want to have a YouTube channel set up and ready to go, because StreamYard is going to allow you to connect its web-based platform out to something like YouTube. You can also connect it to a Facebook page or a Facebook group for your school or your district. And again, Twitter is also valuable because Twitter and Periscope are connected, and you can also connect StreamYard to Twitter/Periscope. Other things that you can connect StreamYard to would be Twitch. You can stream to a Facebook group, a Facebook profile. And if you want to use this more personally or professionally, or get older students doing this, you can also connect StreamYard to live stream on LinkedIn. And you can also do something where you can stream to a custom RTMP. And I apologize, I do not know off the top of my head what RTMP stands for, but that would allow you to live stream out to another engine, which would then be able to push your content out in other ways. The biggest one I could think of would be a site like restream.io, which lets you take a video feed and push it out to multiple platforms. So StreamYard could be the home base to do that. But again, with StreamYard, you can do that within StreamYard. Okay. I am currently paying for StreamYard. I think it's $20 or $25 a month. And this is my first month paying for it, but paying for it at a certain level. And I'll pull this up here in the live stream for people who are watching on YouTube. I'm paying $25 a month, and that allows me to stream out to multiple sources. I can stream to 2 places, which is why I'm able to stream what I'm doing right now to YouTube and also to Periscope. All right. Other things that you could consider streaming would be to live stream Board of Ed meetings, and that could be great whether we're socially distancing or not socially distancing. You could also live stream, your band concerts, your plays, sporting events. When I was in high school, I always thought it would be cool to, if it would be cool to be on, TV, but we're living in a day where you can live stream high school sports. So pick your sport, and there's a way that you could and should be live streaming that content and celebrating, student athletes. All right. So how does StreamYard work? Okay. So again, if you're listening to the podcast side of this, you might want to head over to chrisnessy.com/156 where you can watch the video. But again, I will do my best to tell the story of what I'm doing here in the video. So those of you listening on the podcast side will be able to get some value out of this if you don't want to go and watch the video. So I am in StreamYard right now. And the first thing you're going to want to do is set up what's called destinations. So a destination is what you want to connect StreamYard to and where you want your video broadcasts to go. So again, you can connect StreamYard to Facebook, LinkedIn, YouTube, Periscope, and even Twitch, which Twitch doesn't just have to be for streaming gaming. You can live stream there as a live stream platform. So those are the places that you can send your content. Okay. So once you connect StreamYard to any combination of those platforms, you would then be right at the point where you want to create broadcasts. So on my screen right now, we can see that I am live in this current live stream as I'm recording this episode. And as I'm recording this, you can see the podcast PD live stream that's scheduled and ready to go. When you want to create a new broadcast, it's as simple as clicking the big blue button that says create a broadcast, which the first thing it's going to ask you to do is where do you want to broadcast to? So on my screen, it shows all of the different destinations. And I have my professional Facebook page. I have the House of EdTech Facebook group and LinkedIn. And I have a couple of YouTube destinations set up. The one that I'm doing this on right now. I have a podcast PD channel. There's an Education Podcast Network channel. We have Periscope for Mr. Nessie. We have Periscope for Podcast PD. And we have House of EdTech Twitch. Now, the other thing that you'll notice here is you can skip and record only. You can use StreamYard as a recording platform if you're paying for it. But again, the point of this episode and this content is to get you to live stream your school events. So I would choose my destination. So I want to live stream to YouTube. And now I would title my event, provide a description. And then because I'm going to stream to YouTube, I can then choose between YouTube's options of, do I want this live stream to be public, unlisted, or private? So obviously public would be searchable on the platform. People can find the link by searching for any keywords related to your broadcast. If it's unlisted, then people can only watch it based on you sharing the link with people. And if it's private, then really you're just using YouTube to record. And then you can change the privacy settings. You can edit, you can capture. But I wouldn't recommend doing private. You'd want to go with unlisted if you want to have people check it out, but have it not be searchable to the entire internet. The nice thing is you can go live with the click of a button right there in that instant, or you can schedule something for later, like I did with this very live stream today. I scheduled it early this morning on May 3rd for 11 a.m. on May 3rd. Because it's YouTube, I have the ability to upload a thumbnail image. So you should have seen a thumbnail image for those of you watching on YouTube. And it lets you know anywhere you see a question mark here in the interface. For example, if I mouse over the question mark for upload a thumbnail, it lets me know that this will be used as the preview image before you go live. And the recommended size of the artwork is 1280 by 720. So using Photoshop or any graphics program, you can create nice artwork for your live streams. So once you're live streaming, what happens? Okay. What's going on behind the scenes? So actually what I'm going to do is I'm going to shift gears and I'm going to go Inception Style and I'm going to live stream my screen that I am recording on right now. So if you're watching on YouTube, it's very Inception, but if you're watching, if you're listening, you don't get the Inception thing. Okay. So here on the back end of StreamYard, these are my options. Here at the bottom of the screen, I can mute my microphone. I can stop my camera. I can also change my camera and microphone settings while I'm broadcasting. I have my screen sharing button. I have the invite button and then leave the studio. So I'm not going to leave the studio because that'll screw up the whole live stream thing. All right. So those are my options on the bottom. when someone joins you as a guest, and yes, you can invite people to be a part of this with you, they don't see all the same options. On the right-hand side of the StreamYard interface, you have the ability to create, you can see the comments. So if anybody is watching your live stream, then their comments show up on the screen. You'll see their comments here, and you can click show, and you can add a comment right into your broadcast on screen. So if somebody's commenting, you can certainly have that show up on the screen. You have the next option called banners, and this is where you can create on-screen graphics. So for example, on the screen right now, I have a lower third that says Chris Nesi, host, House of EdTech. I could also bring up another lower third that says chrisnesi.com/join, but that's not active. So if you're watching on the live stream, you can't be a part of this one. I can also have the scrolling ticker that I have on the screen right now, where I'm thanking all of my awesome supporters. And for anybody who would be interested, there's a link to chrisnesi.com/awesome if you wanted to become a supporter of the podcast. And then what I had on the screen earlier, it says recording episode 156. So these are just some on-screen things that you can do with StreamYard. So you can not just be streaming a video feed, you can add some on-screen elements, and it can be very visual. Now, the other thing you have is it's called brand. And when we go into the brand settings, you can choose one color that would be associated with your account. So right now I have what I call House of EdTech red. So if you're watching the video, anything that's on screen where you see the color red, I was able to choose that color. I can also change what the graphics look like on screen. There's two, there's default and there's minimal. I like minimal because it's not as overpowering on the screen. I can also have a logo on the screen. And if you're watching this, you'll see in the upper right-hand corner, it says HOET live. And I'm able to put that custom graphic on the screen because I'm paying for it. If I wasn't paying for it and I was using StreamYard for free, you would see this graphic on screen powered by StreamYard with their little duck logo. And that would be on the screen if you're using it for free. The other thing that you can do is you can, if you're paying for it, you can upload a custom background, which you can't see right now because my video is full screen. But if I go back to sharing my screen and I choose, and actually this is really cool. And I'm doing this live, and you know, it's going to be what it's going to be. So hopefully, you know, you're following along and having fun. When you click share your screen, if you're on a computer that has multiple displays, you'll be able to choose screen 1, screen 2. If you have more than 2 screens, you can choose your screens. But you also have the option that's to choose the entire screen, or I can choose an application window. So here on my side, I can choose any instance of the browser that I'm using. I can also pick an application. So for example, on the video right now, I'm sharing Jingle Palette. So it's just this program on my computer that you can see on the screen, which has the sound effects. So for example, if I want to put a whoosh in, you know, this app lets me do that. There's a whoosh. But in the broadcast, you can see this program and only this program on my computer. So if I click stop sharing and I share screen again, the other option I have is I can choose a tab, a specific tab. And that's what I was doing earlier. So if I choose a specific tab, I can choose to just bring up, you know, the pricing options for StreamYard. So it's only this tab in this one instance of my browser that you can now see on screen in the video that I'm doing right now. I'm going to click stop screen again, and I'm going to share screen one more time. And this is also really cool because there's also the option that I can choose a tab and I can choose share audio. So let's say you're doing, you know, graduation or an award ceremony, and somebody's got to say something, but they can't be there live and they pre-record it. Well, if you take that video and you upload it, you know, to a YouTube account, again, maybe it's public or private, however you upload the video, if you choose share audio, then when you play a video, the audio from that video will be a part of the live stream and not in a, you know, kind of janky kind of way where the sound comes out of your speaker and your microphone happens to pick it up and it sounds garbled and, you know, it's not high quality audio. StreamYard will pull your system audio in and it will seamlessly and really at a good quality play that YouTube audio inside of the live stream. And I'm guessing, and I haven't tested this, but maybe you could test it and let me know. I imagine, let's say I was using VLC or QuickTime on a Mac. If I shared that application, I could stream that audio into a live stream. So that's kind of what I'm thinking is possible. And again, it's just so easy to do this. Even if you've never live streamed before, the interface is really easy. And I think there's a tremendous amount of value to being able to do this for your school or your community. All right. So since I have it up on the screen, let's go over what you get if you're paying. So for free, so $0 out of your pocket, either for you or your school or your district, you can stream. Okay. You can connect it to any number of destinations, but you can only stream to one destination at a time. Okay. So there, you're going to have the StreamYard branding in your stream. So again, as I talked about earlier, you'll see their little logo, and that'll be a part of your stream, and you can't really remove it. There's also, if you're using the free plan, you can only stream for 20 hours per month. Now, that might be the perfect amount of time for a school or based on the events you're doing. But again, if you get into streaming sporting events and regularly streaming, or, maybe it's, your school announcements or a daily news show, you might get into needing to pay for it as a school or a district. All right. Now, the basic plan is $25 per month. And if you that's billing it monthly. If you pay annually, you can get it for $20 a month. But again, that's billed annually. But anyway, so what do you get with their basic plan? There's no StreamYard branding. You get unlimited streaming. You can add your own logo. You can add your own overlays, a background. It will let you record through StreamYard up to 4 hours per stream. So what that means is StreamYard is also recording this, even though I'm also streaming it to YouTube and Periscope. Those platforms, YouTube and Periscope, for example, that's going to have the entire broadcast. StreamYard, if I recorded and was live streaming for 5 hours, let's say I was doing, a really long high school graduation that went 5 hours. In the back end of StreamYard, they'd have the first 4 hours recorded for me. And also with the basic plan, you can stream to 2 destinations simultaneously. So again, that's why I'm able to do this stream to YouTube and Periscope at the same time. Now, they also have a professional plan. And for that one, it is all the basic stuff. So no StreamYard branding, unlimited streaming, the logo, the overlays, the backgrounds. But in their professional plan, you can record 8 hours per stream. So I don't really know what a school's doing that's longer than 8 hours that they would live stream, but it would, on the back end of StreamYard, hold the first 8 hours of that live stream. And this is, I think, really, if you really want to be in all places that you can be, maybe this professional plan would be good for a district where you can multi-stream to 5 destinations. So you could stream out to multiple Twitter accounts, Facebook pages, multiple YouTube channels. So you can have up to 5 sources. So let's say for that high school graduation that you want to live stream, with their professional plan, you could live stream it to your school Facebook page, your district Facebook page, your school YouTube, and school Twitter. And, there's 4 destinations right there that you can accommodate anybody who's watching, anywhere they might be watching, say a high school graduation. All right. How to be a guest. All right. So it's as simple as sharing the link. So again, on the back end of StreamYard for me, there's a button that says invite. And if you click that, it gives you a link that you can share with people. You can email it out, or you can share it however you want, really. But if somebody clicks that link, they're going to be brought into what I call the green room. And it's really the back end of StreamYard. Okay. When someone does that, you, as the person who's leading the broadcast, will see the people who want to come on screen with you. All right. So when we do Podcast PD live on StreamYard, Stacy, AJ, and myself, we're on screen, but on the back end for me as the person leading it, if somebody wants to call in, I see them first and I see their name, and then I can decide to add them to the live stream or ignore them or kick them out or whatever. So that's how you can bring people into your live stream. So again, if you're doing graduation, You might want to have, your superintendent, principal, vice principals, the salutatorian, the valedictorian, all the people who might be speaking. You might want to have them all on screen at any point during your graduation broadcast. So this is a way that you could bring in people remotely. Or as I talked about earlier, you can certainly have something that's pre-recorded and you could play that video message within your broadcast. So that's also possible. Now, the other cool thing is, again, the whole chat or the comment feature is, as people are watching, people can comment on what you're doing, and you can choose to visually make those a part of your broadcast. So you can, if people are cheering, for the graduates, you can bring in those comments, up on screen, and that'll be a part of, this video that you are creating. All right. What else? StreamYard, you need the most recent version of Chrome or Firefox. So Edge, Internet Explorer, Safari, they don't work with StreamYard. Unless you're going to go mobile and have somebody come in on their cell phone, then on an iOS device, Safari would work. So Safari mobile is what you need to access. It doesn't work on Chrome mobile. All right. And of course, if you have somebody come in, make sure people are wearing headphones or earbuds, and, you'll be able to capture that audio, and life is going to be good. All right. Multiple cameras. So again, this gets into the whole using it mobily. So right now, if I wanted to, I'm live streaming. I could go on my iPhone and I could use the join link and add a second camera to this video feed. But I'm not going to do that because I wasn't prepared to do that. But I did play with it another day, and that works. So I have seen it done where I've had, my webcam that I'm looking into right now, and I've also had my iPhone in my hand, and I can use it. So if you had, say again, a high school graduation, because that's the season we're in right now, you could have a couple of people. Well, actually, this wouldn't work now because we're not going to have graduation, in person. But in future years, you could certainly have multiple cameras set up to capture different angles of, graduates crossing the stage. Or if you're going to live stream, your school musical or some type of performance, you could have multiple camera angles. We always only ever see the back of the conductor who's conducting the jazz band or the school orchestra. What if there was a camera facing them with a live feed, and you could, see their face, or you could see the faces of the students. So again, so many options that this platform, and just, this way of thinking of capturing what our students and our kids are doing, that's going to be, super powerful. And I talked about screen sharing. So multiple monitors is the best case scenario. If you are doing this from a laptop and you want to share your screen, again, when you get those options, you'll be able to choose the audio or choose a tab or choose a specific application on your computer. So this has really been a big overview of how to use StreamYard to live stream any event at your school. And again, you can use it for free, but you might get to that point where you can justify paying for it, maybe even as a classroom teacher. Again, here with remote learning, I had to justify it with the amount of live streaming I'm doing. I hit that 20 hours and I was like, all right, I need to pay because I need to keep live streaming. So certainly a worthy investment. And believe me, you all know that free is my favorite 4-letter F word. So if I'm paying for something, it's got to be good. Now, I've spent this whole episode talking about StreamYard, but I know that there are other ways that you can do this. You could have programs like TriCaster. You could have programs like OBS, Open Broadcast Software, and you could certainly put together all the things that I'm talking about, whether it's on-screen graphics, multiple cameras. There is downloadable software that you can use to do this. I just think that StreamYard is the best web-based version that is really powerful. So if you're listening to this and you've never tried it, go try it. I've had a lot of people over the last month or so reach out, or they've seen us, live streaming Podcast PD. And, there are a lot of people doing a lot of live streams, and you'll see that they're using StreamYard because I'll be honest, it is stupid easy to get on here and live stream. And again, if you go watch the video of this, and I'll have it out in the show notes at chrisnessy.com/156, or you can go to chrisnessy.com/YouTube. I am just one person doing this right now. So if I can do it as one person, I think anybody could do it as one person. And if you don't think you can and you need some help, reach out to me. Email me, feedback@chrisnessy.com, or go to chrisnessy.com/feedback, and we can get on a test stream. I will walk you through how to do this. So if you're the person in your district who maybe you'd be the one who could suggest, hey, why don't we live stream our graduation this year, or we can live stream the award ceremonies or some other events that we can't have as we normally would, and live streaming is going to make them really good, then reach out to me. I'm more than happy to help you. That's the simplest way that I can put it. So that's the featured content for this episode. If you have questions or feedback, go to chrisnessy.com/156 or chrisnessy.com/feedback, and you can share your thoughts with me there. So that's going to do it for this episode of the House of EdTech podcast. Thank you again if you check this out on the live stream, and thank you for listening if you're listening to this on the podcast side. Certainly, let's keep this conversation going. I'd love to hear your thoughts on any episode that you've listened to, but if you've got questions or comments about how to live stream, let me know. Go to chrisnessy.com/156, and you can reach me there, or again, chrisnessy.com/feedback. If you enjoy the House of EdTech podcast, thank you, because I put a lot of, I haven't bled for the podcast yet, but, I put a lot of work into this, and, if you appreciate it, I appreciate you. But the biggest thing you can do is you could tell somebody else about the podcast. Share it on social media. Use the hashtag House of EdTech. The podcast is also on Instagram at House of EdTech. I'm at Mr. Nessie on Twitter. Share the show. That's the best thing. If you do one thing, share the show. Retweet the links. Tell people about the show. This might be the episode that you share to promote StreamYard and live streaming events at your school. Let's do this. Let's blow this up. The other thing you can do is you could also become an awesome supporter of the House of EdTech. The Awesome Supporter Program is powered by Patreon, and Patreon allows a consumer of content like you to support a creator of content like me. Special thanks to all of my awesome supporters, who include Anthony Arnaud of the New Teacher Podcast. You can find it at newteacher.org. Eric Kurtz from Control Alt Achieve. Find him at controlaltachieve.com. Dan Gallagher. Find his writings at gallaghertech.edublogs.org. Carlos Garza, Mr. G from the Aced Tech Podcast. Find it at aced.tech. Peggy George at pgeorge on Twitter. Jen Giffen, co-host of Shooks and Gift the podcast. Find that great podcast at shooksandgift.com. Also, Jeff Herb. Find him on Twitter at Jeff Herb. Mike Messner at TeacherMike72 on Twitter. JP Prezavento from the Bits and Bytes of Education podcast. Find it at jpprez.com. And also Kyle Wilcox at Level Up EdTech on Twitter. Thank you, everybody, for all your support. If you're interested in supporting the show, go to chrisnessy.com/awesome. The next episode of the podcast is going to be episode 157, and that's going to come your way on May 17th, 2020. Also, let me sneak in here at the end. I'll be on, I'll save it. Check it out on Twitter. Until next time, thank you for learning with me, and remember, using technology isn't difficult. Just give it a try. All right, that's going to do it for the live stream. We've recorded the episode. I will now edit it and I will publish it. Thank you for checking out the live stream. Again, if you are not subscribed to the podcast, go to chrisnessy.com/go, and that is going to let you subscribe on something on your phone. It might direct you to Apple Podcasts. It might direct you to Overcast. Depending on where you go to chrisnessy.com/go, it's going to take you someplace where you can listen to the House of EdTech. Again, if you have any questions at all about how to live stream events at your school, please reach out. I'm happy to help and serve you. So just email me, feedback@chrisnessy.com. And that's going to do it for the live stream. Thanks for checking it out. And I will see you all. Oh, wait, hold on. If you're watching this on Sunday, May 3rd, at some point before 8:30 p.m., come out for Podcast PD at podcastpd.com/live. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you next time.